Okay, I'm down here at Tekanich boat ramp. We're going to drive about 15 miles to the Florence, Oregon. Maybe it's only 12 miles. Beautiful lake. See that little trailer? That's what I keep telling everyone. Everyone's going small trailers now. They don't want the big stuff anymore. It's too much hassle. They don't want the big diesel trucks anymore either. It's too expensive. A brand new diesel truck payment cost about $1,400 a month. For a $90,000 truck, some of those trucks are $120,000. I'm not really sure what happened to America. Something got broke real big. I don't even think it's even started to affect the world yet. I think it's going to happen 2026, 27, and 28. We're going to start seeing some bad things, in my opinion. See, even that one was smaller than normal. That was a toy hauler for their ATVs and stuff, and their sand rails and motorcycles. And that toy hauler was about 5 foot shorter than the other ones. People are downsizing everything they have now. Something big is coming to America. I don't think it's going to... See, now that's big because it's 25 years old, see? Or 15 years old. See, that's smaller? That thing was almost just a little bit bigger than the Jeep or the truck they were pulling. It was brand new, and instead of spending $150,000 on an RV, they'd spent like $80,000 on that. Just look around at the people around you. You'll notice everyone is downsizing. They're closing small businesses all over America. Look at this nice flatbed. Look at that. Now look, they have a tiny little trailer to go camping. Just with the stuff in the back. I haven't seen one of those in a long time. See how small that is? See, that was way smaller than normal. There's a guy behind me with like a 35-foot fifth wheel, big, huge, mega fifth wheel, but it's old, it's used. They bought all these things 10, 15 years ago, and they don't want to get rid of them, you know, why? But behind him is a small trailer for someone to live in. And it's newer. I'm going to try to pull over up here and you can see them. It's like old school and then new school following behind him. The goal used to be, you know, get $1 million, get $500,000 and retire in a big, huge motorhome. But back then, big, huge motorhomes were only like $60,000 for a huge, mega motorhome with all mahogany wood and everything. Now, just an average new motorhome's $120,000. And people don't want them. You can't have a $4,000 a month house payment, 2 car payments for $1,500 a month, and a $900 a month motorhome payment. You can't do it. I was listening to a financial program, and a lady on there makes $225,000 a year, and she called the program to ask if she should file bankruptcy. She makes $225,000 a year, and she owes like $1.5 million. She can barely survive. And then her husband left her, got divorced, had enough. I'm not saying it was her fault, but anyone who goes, $1.5 million in debt, it's your fault. You're the only one that signed the paper, so let's look at this one here. Look, it's short, look. It's 26 foot, brand new. That one's short, 25 foot. Now look at this old school right here. Look at how big this is. It's old school, and then look at how small this one is. It's medium size. It's only about 18-foot toy hauler. And then you see all these people living in their vehicles up and down the West Coast everywhere. Man, it's so beautiful out today. I can't tell you what. And here comes the... Oh, this ain't it. I thought this was a Sprinter. Now look at how small this is. Look at how tiny that thing is. And people are living in those things full time. I mean, a lot of retired people. They don't want big stuff anymore. They're done. You know, millions of Americans pulled their house off the market because they can't sell it for what they thought it was worth. And they said the peak house happened 9 months ago in America. And now the price of houses are falling slowly, but they're falling. I've told you this several times. I had a friend. His house went up to $540,000, and now let's look at this one. Look at how, yep, all brand new, small. 70% of these are all small. Well, it went up to $540,000 here locally, and he couldn't get $470,000 for it, so he took it off the market. He lost $70,000 in 9 months. That's how much it's gone down, and people say, oh, there's nothing wrong, nothing's going down, everything's fine. Well, tell that to my friend. He lost $70,000 in equity in 9 months. I noticed people, like the Cadillac Escalades and the big, huge Yukons, nobody's buying those anymore. If they want a larger vehicle, they buy a large van for like $60,000. They don't buy the $90,000 big, huge SUVs anymore. I think people are starting to figure out what I've known my entire life. The most valuable asset you can have is cash in the bank. It's not real estate, it's not land, it's cash. And it's definitely not your car. And a credit card is not an asset, it's a liability, a debt. The most valuable thing asset-wise, I'm not talking about spiritually or physically, I'm talking about monetarily. The most valuable asset you can have is cash in the bank, secure, no investment, only getting 1% interest. Because nobody can touch your money, it's FDIC insured, and then you can always look for a fantastic deal. Because cash is king when it comes to the financial world of buying. See, now that thing's 25 years old, that's why it's so big, see? They bought it 20, 22, 25 years ago, so they're going to keep using it until it falls apart because they put all that money into it. So let's say you wanted to buy a piece of land. Now this is what millionaires do, and people like you don't do. This is how millionaires get richer and you get poorer. That car back there's $35,000, been sitting there for 5 months. Nobody's not even looking at it. And it's a nice car. It looks like a nice car, but it's probably got too many miles. So, you see someone who's got land for sale. And they're asking $40,000. And you say, I'll give you $27,500 cash today. 19 out of 20 people say, no, hit the road, get out of here. But that's fine, you don't need that. You gave an offer, don't worry about it. The 20th person will say, if you can give me cash by within 10 days, I'll take it. And you just bought a $40,000 piece of property for $27,500. Now you can sit on the property for 6 months and sell it for $42,000, and you made $15,000 profit. And if you do that twice a year, you make $30,000 a year. But you got to be a hustler. You got to. I don't mean hustle people. You got to be a hustler, aggressive with a hustle work ethic. You got to go out and ask 20 people. You have to make offers to 20 people, and then one says yes. But you only need one. And now you're going to sell that property. You put down $28,000 cash. Now you own it, and by the end of the year, you're going to get $42,000. That's what millionaires do, and you don't do. Millionaires put a little ad in the paper, or the local paper, buying vacant land for cash. And you got to know what you're doing. I mean, you got to get, you got to have a good insurance man. You got to know how to do a title and get a survey. So that's only a couple $1,000s. So if a millionaire can do that twice a year, he makes $30,000 on only having $60,000, or no, about $58,000 of his money tied up. He makes $30,000 off $58,000. He makes 60% interest. If he would have put that $60,000 in the bank at 10%, he'd only make $6,000. But with my example, he makes $30,000 on both properties. And then if you pull back the one after you sold it, now you only got $28,000 hanging out there. So you take that $28,000 and you try to do it 3 times a year. Now you turned your $60,000 investment into $45,000 a year profit, doing it 3 times a year and 3 pieces of property. So why would someone sell you the property so much cheaper? Because they're desperate and they need the money by Monday, and they don't want to go through the bank and finance everything, and they don't want to wait for you to get proof of financing, and they don't want to wait 90 days. They need the money by next week. And you're actually doing them a favor by doing that. And that's why you make a much higher profit. You're like a pawn shop for land. Except, you know, you don't let people take loans on it. No, you just buy it outright. So if you invest $60,000 and you know how to go like a good realtor, most realtors know how to do this, you can profit $15,000 a year times 3 times a year is $45,000 on your $60,000. And I got people asking me all the time, what kind of business do you think I should open? What do you think I should invest in? The stock market's paying 15%. You think I should put my money in that? I say no. The greatest investment you have is in yourself. I don't care if you're a single girl and you open a sewing machine business. You're going to make $30 an hour for alterations on your sewing machine. You put a little ad up around town. If that's something you know how to do, I'm just giving an example. I do sewing machine alterations. 15 years experience. A lot of people don't want to get rid of their old clothes. They just need something fixed on them. You can make $25 to $30 an hour doing that. I knew a lady at a town I lived in before here, but it was a small town of like 8,000 people, and she did sewing machine alterations. And then she got a contract for some things to do professional sewing, and then she had to hire 2 women underneath her to keep up with the business. And she was making $1,000 a week 20 years ago with 3 sewing machines. That was her profit. Her husband told me, he said, come in here, I'll show you. My wife makes more money than I do.